Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who. My anus is bleeding!
He can't sit down.
They call them dumps, big massive dumps.
Got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Beta male.
Get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
Don't you ever do that. Don't you ever do that. I tell you don't do it.
Oops.
We're under attack. It is an alien force, not of this world. It's not human intelligence.
Bullshit.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Bullshit.
It's not a salami sandwich.
Disappointed!
Repeat the line.
Disappointed!
How you like that, boy?
No.
Give me a break.
Stop it.
Fired.
Fired! Fired!
Bitch, move it along.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
We have to keep our country gay.
The nation, Waldorf Nation. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's Tuesday. Wow, it already feels like further in the week than Tuesday. Yeah, weird. Okay, anyway, we got a show today. We have some interesting stuff. Definitely more interesting than banking, which apparently didn't do very well. People not interested in the bank meltdown, which you would think would be a much more relevant story because of, that kind of thing being pretty important. But no, apparently not. No one seems to care, except for you all, because y'all are here, and I love you for that. But oh, I think they had bank overload. Fair enough. All right, but anyway, we have stories, mainly the usual mix of ghouls and goblins today that we're going to talk about. We have, of course, one of my most favorite new releases from the Dominion defamation trial, or suit, sorry. And wow. That is hilarious and fun. So we have that, and that, of course, includes what Fox News executives, producers think about the audience. All right, so we have that. Of course, we're also going to get into demons. Demons. That's right.
It's the devil, okay?
We got the devil. We got the demons. And Michael Knowles. Is there a difference? Yeah, we'll see. Maybe. All right. We also, of course, have, I don't know, just the result, I guess, of the culture wars playing out in Florida and Ohio. And those are two separate stories. And then, of course, we are going to talk about Republicans going after food stamps, which should not be surprising, because that's what they do. They go after food stamps after they distract you with culture war nonsense. So, all right. With that, why don't we get ready to dive into these stories here? Demons in a tube. It could be. There could be demons in a tube.
Get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
Or not. I don't know.
sexual anarchy.
It might even involve some sexual anarchy. We don't know. We don't know. I guess we'll just have to dive in. All right. So if you haven't already, please like and share the stream. With that, let's start out with the Tucker Carlson story. I mean, honestly, is this a surprise? No, of course not. Not a surprise at all. All right. More juicy text messages have been released as a result of the defamation lawsuit against Fox News filed by Dominion Voting Systems. And it really illustrates how much they hate their own audience. And it just, like, not just hate, but disrespect as well. And also, it illustrates how the Fox audience enjoys being lied to. So there's, of course, it's sort of a weird symbiotic relationship here. Fox viewers want to be lied to, and Fox is more than happy to lie to them for a profit. So with that, let's get to the details, okay? Now, there's an ex-producer for Tucker Carlson named Alex Pfeiffer. And in text messages that have been revealed by Dominion, he had been expressing concern about how to handle Sidney Powell and her insane conspiracy theories about the election. Okay. So now Powell, if you can remember, was emailed by a source who claimed that she had seen Dominion machines switching millions of votes from Donald Trump to Joe Biden during the election while she was having a telepathic vision, which may or may not have involved the wind talking to her.
Wind.
We don't know. Only she knows. Only she knows. All right. Now, look, these are obviously insane claims. As usual, no proof to back them up. They had 60 court cases to try to present some sort of shred of evidence, and they did not. We know this. And by the way, everyone at Fox News at the time also knew that they were insane, these claims, and knew that Sidney Powell was either lying or, again, just didn't have evidence to back her up. Even Tucker Carlson was asking for evidence and saying, look, come on, man. Give us something. Please, just a little crumb. Something that we can go with, you know? Now, Fox News, they knew the truth, but they were too concerned about losing their audience to competitors like Newsmax, who was more than willing to poach the Fox News audience and, for profit, of course. Again, when it comes down to the entire thing, it's money. It's money. All right, so now, Pfeiffer was having a conversation with Fox Corp senior vice president and former Trump White House deputy press secretary and deputy assistant to the president, Raj Shah. So, according to the Washington Post, on the day after Carlson publicly challenged Sidney Powell, Shah and a Carlson producer weighed whether Carlson should devote time in his next show to Powell's claim that she had an affidavit that would link Dominion to Venezuela.
In Venezuela.
Might want to address this, Shah wrote, but this stuff is so effing insane. Vote rigging to the tune of millions? Come on. Hey, look, I feel the same way. Come on. You don't actually believe that. Again, if you had some evidence, bring it forward. Bring it forward, please. We would love to see it. Oh, it turns out you don't have any evidence and you're just talking out your ass. Okay, well, there you go. Now, Pfeiffer responded, quote, "It is so insane, but our viewers believe it." Gee, I wonder why. So addressing, again, how their stupid Venezuela affidavit isn't proof might insult them. Insult them. Ooh, oh, I love it so much. I love it. Because, again, we have, Fox News people saying this affidavit is stupid. The whole idea of the ghost of Hugo Chavez coming in and, stealing, flipping votes from Donald Trump to Biden to steal the election is stupid. It's stupid and insane. But then telling them the proof, and they're admitting this. Well, look, if we tell them reality, facts, which shouldn't be controversial, if we just tell them facts, well, that's going to insult our audience. I mean, wow. Just...
Oh my God! He admitted!
Look, telling the truth only insults people who don't want to hear the truth. I'm just saying, if you're insulted by by facts, well, there's a reason. It's because you don't like the facts. You're not, look, and by the way, they've admitted something that that I've been saying for a long time. Fox News audience doesn't want to hear the truth. They want to hear lies. They want to be lied to. They actively want to be lied to. They seek out lies to make themselves feel better. It is as usual, feelings over facts. I feel like I was cheated. I feel like I was wronged somehow. I can't prove it. And then you got these grifters that come out and say, well, yes, you have been wronged. We don't have any evidence to back it up, but we believe you. We feel you. We hear you. And I don't know. I guess maybe that's all they need. They don't need no stinking evidence. They just need someone to say, there. It's okay. I hear you. I believe you. It is kind of sad when you think about it, honestly. All right. So now, there's more. Not only does Pfeiffer note that the Fox audience actively avoids the truth, he then makes fun of the entire idea of a stolen election. In fact, he said this: one funny thing, Dominion was used in Ohio and Florida. Trump won them. Did they forget to rig those, or all part of the plan? Look, Shaw replied by asking Pfeiffer if he saw that Newsmax host Greg Kelly came after Carlson for his commentary on Powell's claims. So, look, Tucker Carlson privately was like, no, Sidney Powell, she's a lying bitch. I don't believe anything that she's saying. She has no evidence. And on the air, he was a lot softer. He was like, we would like you to present something here. And it's not wrong to question the election and the outcome here. There are legitimate questions here, okay? But it doesn't seem like Sidney Powell has evidence to support her claims. That's because, well, there was no evidence to present, and that her source was like a cactus artist who claims that she had heard the wind telling her this. Again, that's not a good source. That's not a source at all. Those are the insane rantings of a person who might need medication. Now, Pfeiffer replied, yeah, this whole thing is surreal. Now, let me get to the best quote here. My favorite quote here. He said, quote, this is like negotiating with terrorists, but especially dumb ones. Cousin effing types, not Saudi royalty. Oh my God. Oh, I love it so much. I love it. I mean, that's probably one of my favorite quotes that has ever come out. Again, you have a former Tucker Carlson producer saying, man, our audience, they're banging their own cousins. They're really, really dumb, but they're also terrorists. Wow. I mean, that's amazing. Just absolutely amazing. Mind-blowing here. Because, again, it really shows how much they despise the people that watch them. And by the way, look, people who watch Fox News, and there are a lot, okay, so people who watch certain sources, or just, I guess, any source of news, there has to be a trust element to it, right? There has to be a trust in, like, okay, I choose to consume news from this source because I trust them, right? I trust that what they're giving me is factual information. Well, in this case, this guy is addressing people who trust Fox News as a source and says these guys are super dumb. They're super dumb and may also be terrorists. Look, Tucker Carlson had also said, look, we're, by having the decision desk, like the election desk, call early for Arizona, that is damaging our credibility with the audience. So they're simultaneously, on one hand, being concerned about, hey, I don't want to lose the audience. We don't want to tarnish our brand because, that means we make less money. And ultimately, that's what it comes down to. At the same time, the contempt that they have in private for their own audience, their own viewers, people that, trust them to deliver news news. I guess really what they want to hear, they despise them. Completely disrespect them. They do not think that they are smart people. They just don't. And look, Newsmax, they mentioned Greg Kelly. Newsmax, of course, is competition for Fox News. Ideologically, they're pretty much the same. But Fox News and Newsmax obviously are in competition with the same kinds of viewers. Newsmax was getting Fox News viewers because Fox News, Rupert Murdoch, was saying, we got to back away from this election stuff. This is crazy. I mean, no, I don't believe it. None of our hosts believe it. Let's kind of back away a little slowly, but back away for sure. And then when they saw a bunch of people were getting mad at Fox News and leaving for OAN and Newsmax, well, they freaked out. They panicked and then went on and allowed some of their hosts to continue spreading these election conspiracies to try to keep them happy. Now, Shaw also wrote this. It's really disheartening. The only clear-cut evidence for voter fraud is the failed attempts from Trump. Once again, they know the truth. They know the truth. They know that it was Trump. And by the way, that's what Trump had tried to do in Georgia, to find more votes, enough votes to win the state. Find me votes. Those votes didn't exist. Find them anyway. I don't care what you do. Just find me votes. Which basically meant, I don't know, cheat. Manufacture them. Just give me what I need to win, and that's all. Look, every accusation is a confession. Really, there's so much projection here that comes from the right wing, projected onto the left. Things that they actually do or want to do. In the case of rigging elections or doing voter fraud, well, they say the left's doing voter fraud. Well, they're the ones that are actually out there doing it. Voting twice. It's, again, massive projection and hypocrisy. Look, they obviously do not respect their audience, but need them to make money. And they know that the audience, they have primed them to reject the truth, to reject facts. And so normally they don't care. And without the defamation suit from Dominion, well, they wouldn't have cared at all. They follow the money. And look, that's capitalism, of course, right? You could say that, hey, it's capitalism, since these media corporations are profit-making entities and no longer really serve in the capacity for, making sure that the public is informed, like news channels and outlets is supposed to be. And it's not to say that there isn't, an avenue for opinion or commentary, but at Fox News, there is no such delineation anymore. There really isn't a clear line between their opinion and commentary. And there's a reason for that, because it's their opinion and commentary that makes them the money, that gets them the audience, the viewership. And that's, of course, people like Tucker Carlson. So, now, one last message here, text exchange that I found from Shaw that was interesting. And it's just the fun stuff that they said about, he said about Rudy Giuliani, which, again, I love. During the Four Seasons debacle, when Rudy was like leaking hair dye or whatever he was leaking, here's what Shaw wrote. Quote, "This sounds so effing crazy, by the way." One person responded to Shaw, "Rudy looks awful. He objectively looks like he was a dead person voting 2 weeks ago." Hey, you got to admit, that's pretty funny. Hey, guy's got a sense of humor. It's just too bad that they're, that the network he belongs to, is partly responsible for nearly allowing the end of our democracy. And, of course, the creation of millions of uninformed people who are now in a bubble, a cult of, well, ignorance. A dangerous one at that. Okay. Moving on, let's go to an update on the Republican investigations. Ooh. I love it. Representative Jim Jordan's subcommittee on government weaponization against conservatives has unsurprisingly come up empty. I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you. Now, Jordan claimed that dozens and dozens of whistleblowers they're come forward. They have come forward, and they are here to expose the government malfeasance. The government coming in and targeting conservatives. Okay, where are they? We have had 2 hearings so far with basically nothing. In fact, the committee's second hearing, they had a first one on February 9th. Okay. The second one focused on, what is it? Oh, right, Twitter. Now, Jim Jordan had 2 witnesses there, not whistleblowers, but witnesses. That's Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger. So now they were there to testify, and their testimony actually had 0 evidence to refute earlier testimony from Twitter employees who said that, look, yes, we made the decision to, ban the New York Post, okay, and stop them from talking about the Hunter Biden laptop story. So now that was Twitter's decision. It was ultimately the wrong decision. And they did so based on a warning. Hey, watch out for Russian disinformation. So now Jim Jordan's trying to associate this warning with orders. saying, oh, it's the FBI ordered, forced Twitter to ban the New York Post. You're going to ban it so that people do not read about the great Hunter Biden laptop scandal story. But that's not what happened. Again, there was no evidence to refute the Twitter employees saying, no, actually, ultimately, we made the decision to pull it. We were not ordered by the FBI. Therefore, the government, which, by the way, was under the Trump administration, the FBI had not singled out and targeted any information about the Biden laptop. Now, I'll give you the details of what actually happened. But again, no deliberate targeting of conservatives to shut down their speech by the government. That's just ridiculous. So now, as I mentioned before, Schellenberger and Taibbi are not whistleblowers, so they didn't have any information. And so where are the whistleblowers? Oh, it turns out there are no whistleblowers. Again, big surprise, right? Now, to get to the government here, who did put out a warning. So essentially, they warned social media, hey, look, watch out for Russian disinformation. And so the people at Twitter, knowing how right-wing media tends to operate, said, okay, we think this could possibly be BS. Now, as I told you before, it was a bad call. The laptop does exist. It is real. But apparently it's not as damning to President Biden as they hoped that it would be. You know how I know? Well, because the hearings would instead be about the contents of the laptop instead of Twitter allegedly working or with the FBI or the FBI using the power of the government to order Twitter to censor the story. So we would be having a completely different conversation if they had actually found a smoking gun, but they didn't. So now the irony about this entire weaponization committee is the fact that they're actually attempting to weaponize the committee and do the same thing that they're accusing the left of doing, the Democrats. Now, Jim Jordan recently sent out subpoenas to about 50 former intelligence officials. These are the intelligence officials who, again, claim the laptop story might have been part of a disinformation campaign. Though part of the letter also admitted, hey, we're not sure, so just be careful. Quote, we want to emphasize that we do not know if the emails provided to the New York Post by President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, are genuine or not, and that we do not have evidence of Russian involvement. Just that our experience makes us deeply suspicious that the Russian government played a significant role in the case. So again, we don't know, we're not sure, we're just suspicious based on our experience. Okay, now if you want to call that paranoia, that's fine, that's absolutely fair. You could say, well, they got Russia on the brain, Russia, oh my God, Russiagate. Okay, sure, whatever. Overly careful, or just bad call, whatever. But again, this was their opinion, right? Be skeptical, which I don't think that is really all that bad advice. Yes, we should be skeptical of media sources and just make sure to do extra reading, maybe get information from multiple sources, exercise some media literacy. And that makes sense. It's a correct call. Do not take what anybody says at face value. Now, because of that, however, that letter, Jordan and the Intelligence Committee Chairman Michael Turner, again, sent subpoenas to the signatories demanding all the documents related to the statement and directed the former officials to appear for transcribed interviews. So basically, we're going to haul you all in. And then what? Interrogate you? Waste your time over what is essentially a non-issue, because there's, again, no evidence that the FBI or the government had been ordering Twitter to censor conservatives. This is a made-up controversy. And by the way, this letter said that if you don't comply, they have been warned. Subpoenas will be forthcoming. This is all over a made-up controversy. This is red meat. What would we learn from this? Nothing. But understand that this is a way to weaponize the government, using the power of government to compel people to testify for just political reasons. And that's what it is. This is to score political points with the base. It's the height of irony. And by the way, it's also a good way for Republicans to waste time and not solve real problems. That's exactly what Republicans are paid to do. Whenever they get into power, their first thing is not to try to solve issues. No, it's to waste time. And by the way, what happened the last time Republicans got full control of the government? What did they actually do? Deregulated the banks, deregulated the trains, and gave $2 trillion in tax cuts to the rich. Weird how that works out. And by the way, now we have even more national debt as a result of the tax cuts for the rich, increased inequality economically, rich people richer, poor people poorer. You have banks like SVB that failed because they didn't have liquidity when there was a run on banks due to Fed monetary policy and the lack of regulation. They were not tested because at the 2018 Trump deregulation bill. And of course the trains also deregulated thanks to lobbying of Republicans by the industry that Trump had bragged about, deregulating. So these lobbyists, they come in, they buy the politicians, they send a bill to Trump, Trump signs it and then brags, I deregulated the trains. Tremendous. Taking out the burden of regulations off of our beautiful, tremendous trains. And then, of course, what did we have? An increase in derailments, toxic derailments like East Palestine and many other places. Detroit, Alabama. The list goes on. So, no, they don't solve real problems. In fact, they seem to create more problems. And then, they create these problems, but that's okay for them because guess what? People get rich. And ultimately, that's the entire purpose of the Republican Party, is just to make rich people and corporations richer. The country be damned. Oh, SVB, by the way, also, the bank deregulation, supported by 17 Senate Democrats. I just want to put that out there. All right. Let's go to demons. And here we go. It never ends with these people. Okay. A Daily Wire host thinks transgender people are demons.
This is demonic stuff, really demonic stuff. And I made this point, I got in trouble with our publicists over at Media Matters because I said that the attacks on man's sexual nature and sexual difference and complementarity are demonic. And they are. They go back throughout all of history, throughout some of the earliest depictions of demons. Even one of the most prominent depictions of demons. It comes from an artist, Eliphas Levi, who is an occultist, who did a depiction of Baphomet. If you just think, what's a demon look like? You're probably thinking of this picture. And it's a trans depiction. It's a depiction of a man and a woman kind of blended together in this grotesque way. It is no coincidence that these depictions are what we see in this highly, highly dangerous ideology. It is no coincidence that when you attack this ideology, I've gone after so many different leftist views, leftist hobby horses, leftist ideologies, and you get pushback. If you defend the Second Amendment, you get pushback. If you push back on critical race theory, you get some angry people sending you messages. Nothing comes close to when you push back against the transgender agenda. The images that people send you, the threats that people make against you. It's exactly what that woman described. And it is demonic.
Wow. Okay, so nonsense, complete and utter gobbledygook, religious garbage. You know what the transgender agenda is? I'm gonna spill the secret, okay? I know the transgender, okay? Here's what it is. To be left alone and live their lives. Oh my God. That's it. That's it. That's what transgender people want. They want to be left alone by people like Michael Knowles and live their lives. That's it. Wow. I know. Crazy, right? Crazy. No, look, here's the thing though. So Michael Knowles is making this weirdo pseudo-religious point based on, again, weirdo nonsense, occulty stuff. You know, apparently there's a market for this. People tune in and be like, oh yeah, Michael. Oh yeah, Michael Knowles. Yeah, you're right. Oh, definitely. Oh, demonic. Yeah, Baphomet. Yes. It makes no sense to me. Watching this, I'm like, what are you talking about? You sound like a person who should be ranting on a train somewhere. I mean, to yourself, like muttering to yourself on a subway or something. Or maybe in a subway. I don't know. It's just nonsense. Nonsense. So look, by the way, he's like, oh yeah, have you seen the picture of Baphomet? Oh yeah. And then he goes on to describe it. Wouldn't it just be easier to show the picture? I mean, that's what it looks like. Wow. Crazy. So look, he likens that to like, oh, see, that's a depiction of transgenderism. No, it's not. First of all, let me give you some history here. There's no Baphomet in the Bible. So to claim that this is like a religious thing, like, oh, the Bible warned against this, the warns against the trans agenda, you see. No, the name actually appeared in trial transcripts from the Inquisition of the Knights Templar back in the 1300s. It's actually thought by some to have been another name for Muslims, or a representation of Muslims. Not the picture itself, but the name. So it wasn't until later that we actually got this goat man image. And that's again about around the 1900s, when it got associated, the name Baphomet became associated with the Sabbatic goat, drawn by Eliphas Levi, who was that occultist that Michael Knowles was talking about. Funny enough, the image is composed of binary elements representing the symbolization of the equilibrium of opposites, half human, half animal, male and female, good and evil. So Levi's intention, apparently, in this drawing was to symbolize his own concept of balance, with Baphomet representing the goal of perfect social order. I don't know anything in there that sounds demonic or evil. But then again, you talk to weirdos like Michael Knowles, I don't know, maybe he thinks that the idea of equilibrium or balance is evil. He certainly seems to think that equality is evil. again, talking about, you push back against the critical race theory. Again, critical race theory is basically just was a college level framework of looking at the United States with a lens, using a lens of systemic injustice. That's really it. So you look at these systems, you say, okay, there are systems here that do tend to perpetuate injustice against African Americans. Okay, but apparently that framework, and using that framework to examine those issues, that's evil. That's demonic. It's the devil, okay? It's the devil. It's all the devil. No, it's you wanting to ignore these social problems. It's you wanting to ignore these issues so that, I don't know, you can service white supremacy? I don't know. I really think that Michael Knowles doesn't really care about any of that. Doesn't really care about white supremacy, doesn't really care about, anything that he talks about. You know what Michael Knowles cares about, in my opinion? Money. I think that's what Michael Knowles cares about. I think that's the only issue behind, or I should say the driving force behind so many of these right-wing grifters. That's what it's about. They make easy money by going after marginalized communities and putting out nonsense. That's really it. And look, hey, maybe he, does think, oh no, it's my way or the highway. Maybe I actually do want to run your life according to my beliefs. Again, there are people like that out there. I just don't know where Michael Knowles stands in reality. But the result, whether he personally believes this stuff or not, is pretty much the same. Using absurd imagery and ridiculous talking points in order to justify cruelty towards the transgender community, towards a marginalized community, towards people who, again, are just trying to live their lives. And if you are going to ascribe evil to anything, it would be to the people who are looking to erase others for simply being different. The Templars were accused of worshiping Baphomet. Yes, I did read about that. Check his basement for bodies. All right. Let's move on. Let's go to the result of people like Michael Knowles putting this garbage out into the world.
What is wrong with you? That is not okay.
No, is lesbianism okay?
It is. Yeah.
No, it isn't.
Why isn't it?
Because you touch children, you rape children.
I do not touch children.
Yes, because you're all evil.
Oh. You're evil. God doesn't want you to talk that way to people. Do you go to church? Oh, I'll record you all day. Do you go? Oh, sweetheart.
You know who I work for? Do you know who I am?
No, nobody knows who you are. Okay, great.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
You should be ashamed of yourself talking to people this way.
That was, hold on. That was a homophobic Karen going on a bit of a meltdown inside of a Starbucks in Miami, Florida. So now the people that were filming this are a lesbian couple, and they said that she had begun yelling homophobic comments at them for no reason. Well, there you go. So look, the right wing has been accusing LGBTQ people of being groomers, sexualizing children, being straight up pedophiles. And gee, I wonder where they are getting this information. Oh, right. From, I don't know, right-wing grifters, people like Michael Knowles, who call transgenderism evil, say they must be removed. People like Tim Pool, who, claim, again, that LGBTQ people are pedophiles coming after children. And, of course, you also have Ron DeSantis, who is passing laws like the Don't Say Gay bill. And so, look, you have had Republicans that are doing this massive culture war against the trans community, and again, against the greater LGBTQ plus community, and they're doing it to get political points. That's basically what it is. So now we know exactly where this lady has been getting her so-called information, and it's really disgusting to see the result of this, where lesbian couples are just being openly harassed, minding their own business while at Starbucks. Again, it's disgusting. Now, there is a bright side to this story, and that's the reaction. Pretty much everyone in that building, when she said, "Oh, you're touching children, you heard the entire store erupt in no. That lady ended up actually being escorted from the scene by police officers and then banned. So now, Local 10 News actually sat down and spoke with the couple who was unfortunately harassed. One of them is Cassie Uri, who was there with her partner, Lauren Screet, who posted this again to her TikTok. It went viral. It's got over 3 million views at this point. And so here's what they said about this, and about basically what it's like now to live as a gay couple in Florida, and I would say by extension, the rest of the country, or most of the country. She says, "We are very cautious about holding hands in public or making it obvious we're a couple, because that's something that isn't a safe thing to do for queer couples." So, look, it has not been that long since gay marriage was legalized in this country. And look, acceptance of, same-sex marriage is pretty high. Yes, most people in this country are like, "Oh, gay people can get married? Great." Somebody getting married, to a member of the same sex does not have any negative effects on my life. Yes. It's true. They do not have any negative impact on your life. I do not know or understand why this, homophobic Karen is so upset. What did they do to her? Nothing. That's the answer. They just simply existed in the same space as her. And that apparently was enough. This lady, again, people like her have been emboldened by the right-wing culture wars. And it's sad to see. You've got all these people on the right wing with platforms that are very heavily financed, by the way, by billionaires. There's no money in the left. There's a lot of money on the right. Now you might say, "Well, wait, what's money in the left? What are you talking about? George Soros, MSNBC, CNN." No, that's not the left. That's the center. That's the establishment. When it comes to the left, the progressive left, there's no money there. There's a ton of money on the right, though. These billionaires, you go through and they shower money on, people like Dennis Prager, who puts out, again, just utter garbage, incredibly hateful stuff, and gets millions and tens of millions of dollars a year in grants just to do it. And the reason that they do it is, again, foment these culture war narratives to divide people so that ultimately Republican politicians can run on this stuff, get enough votes to get into office, and then do what the donors say. It's a manufactured culture war narrative. That's all this is. But as manufactured as it is, it has real world effects. Real world effects. The harassment, the hatred that you see on the streets, even in the local Starbucks, it's nothing to do with the halls of Congress. local Starbucks, people getting harassed. And it's not just harassment. There is violence. There are attacks. There are people getting hurt. There are people getting killed as a result of this in hate crimes. All because of these ridiculous culture wars. Now, that said, getting back to the right side, because I don't want to be a complete downer on this, right? They have received some overwhelming support online since their video was posted. In fact, Yuri said, everybody in our lives has been so supportive. So it's outweighing the hate that this woman was spreading. Look, that's ultimately good because, again, we have a disconnect here. The majority of the American people accept and love the LGBTQ community. They're in support. And they stand up against this when they see this. But there is still a very, I would say a fairly small, but still sizable amount of the population that really does believe in some of the most hateful, disgusting tropes, narratives that are put out against them. And there's no reason they should have to be dealing with that. And you know, look, the right wing claims, oh, we're the victims of the gay agenda. They're shoving it down our throats. But again, it always seems like time after time after time, again and again and again, seems to be the right wing that keep attacking other people. It's almost as if they're, again, offended by the existence of people who are different. Or, as I mentioned before, fear-mongered by the conservative online grifters who keep telling the gays are after them. They're coming for you. They're coming for your children. They're going to train you. They're going to train your children too. But as usual, as I said, they're only saying these things to distract you from the fact that there are people out there that pay them that want to pick your pocket, keep you distracted so they can take all the money. Hate and bigotry, unfortunately, sell pretty well in this country. And the right wing, there are people out there in the right that keep on buying. And that's because it's so much easier to have hate and fear than it is to have love and acceptance. Okay. One last story. Another result. Yeah. Over the weekend, a neo-Nazi group disrupted a drag event in Ohio. The group waved swastika flags, chanting, "There will be blood," on Saturday during a protest against a drag queen story hour held in Wadsworth, Ohio. The all-ages event was billed as a rock and roll humanist drag queen story hour, and it took place in the city's Memorial Park. So now, again, as we've seen all over the country, right-wing groups have showed up to protest these drag events because they think it's the grooming of children or sexualization of children, which, if it's billed as an all-ages event, then no. Are there situations where there is sexuality in drag performances? Yes. Yes, there is. Is dressing in drag or being a drag queen or being a part of a drag queen event inherently sexual? No. It's basically dressing up and doing a performance. And that does not mean necessarily that it is sexual. If it's billed as an all ages event, by nature, by its very nature, it is not sexual. But again, that does not matter to the right wing, to neo-Nazis who are not smart. They're not intelligent people. And so, of course, they showed up. And by the way, they're not the only ones that showed up. There were other groups as well. In fact, these other groups actually ended up disagreeing and fighting with the Nazis. I'm going to tell you who they are, okay? So now, first the neo-Nazis show up, and then, of course, there's the Proud Boys. Yes, Proud Boys. And then you also had White Lives Matter. What does White Lives Matter have to do with a drag thing? So they show up, and White Lives Matter and the Proud Boys, they're like, we do not want to be associated with the neo-Nazis. They actually ended up getting in fights with each other. Wow. Okay. Crazy. That's crazy. Look, again, I'm kind of laughing at the fact that they're fighting with each other, but I also want to be I want to be clear that this is a very dangerous thing when you have all these hate groups that show up to these events. Now, again, the neo-Nazis were, chanting things like, there will be blood. So that, again, that is incredibly damaging. That is incredibly dangerous. That's scary as hell. And so having them show up at these events, it's absolutely horrifying. The neo-Nazis are far more dangerous to children than a drag queen could ever be. Ever be. Which is to say, of course, drag queens are not a danger to children, but Nazis absolutely are. So, now, oh, by the way, it wasn't just White Lives Matter Ohio, but also, and the Proud Boys, but also White Nationalist Patriot Front. According to, let's see, documentary filmmaker Ford Fisher, who filmed this, he said that all those other groups had tried to distance themselves from the Nazis and ended up getting, again, into some fights. Wow. I mean, look, hey, let them fight. Let them fight. But for God's sakes, leave the kids and the drag queens alone. They have done absolutely nothing to warrant this kind of just disgusting behavior. By the way, unsurprisingly, with all these horrible groups there was homophobic and racist abuse, including the N-word targeted at attendees, and even a black journalist from the local newspaper Akron Beacon Journal had to leave for his own safety after being racially abused. So, look, there is a danger in this country, and it's these right-wing, far-right reactionaries. Those are the ones that are causing the problems. Those are the ones that are inflicting harm upon children. They are the actual danger. The racism and hatred do not belong in our society. And we should do everything we can, again, to stand against that and to stand against their abhorrent, disgusting beliefs. Okay. That's it. That's all I got for y'all today. All right, so let's see. Denouncing Nazis used to be the bare minimum. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Let's read some super chats here. After I take these graphics off the screen. Okay, so Jonathan Leiter, thank you for the very kind $5. Them Republicans sure do know how to make themselves look like fools, don't they? Happy Pie Day. Well, what's my favorite kind of pie, you ask? Ooh, that's a good question. Oh, I mean, I do like a good chocolate cream pie. But I also like apple pie, cherry pie, pumpkin pie. Ooh. I'm sorry, I can't answer that question. I love all pie. Well, maybe almost all pie. All right. Michael Norris points out, The very kind $3, by the way. Bahamut is also one of the gods in Final Fantasy. I mean, gods summon, you know, whichever game you've ended up playing. Sweet Potato Pie is a no. Peach, not necessarily. Okay, so maybe I don't love all pie. Maybe I'm a little bit more picky. But again, Raspberry Pie. Oh, that's Bloom 85. Never actually worked with one of those. Let's see. Mike Norris says, did I get a chance to watch the Lucky Charms Assassin? I hear their hearings are going as well as the ones in Iron Man 2. I'm unfamiliar with the Lucky Charms Assassin, so I don't know the reference to that. Let's see. Maybe cameras do steal souls because every time I see a Karen or a Ken on camera, they seem devoid of a conscience and soul. Oh, there you go. Okay, so Gabby Mathis, thank you for gifting a Waldorf Nation membership on YouTube. And Jonathan Leiter, very kind. Thank you for the very kind $2. Drag queens make the best drunkles. Oh, interesting. Well, there you go. Okay. So let's go from there to our Twitch community. Thank you, SBloom85, for resubbing with Prime. Appreciate that. For 27 months. Wow, it's a long time. Rora Sarabeth, thank you for resubbing for a month at Tier 1 for 4 months. Appreciate that. All right. So with that, that's the show, everybody. Please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. With that, we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, for another show. Love you all. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, Nation. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
I will eat your ass.
Wet ass keyword.
We'll do it live.
That's like my knee tight. Tighten up my knee.
Peachtree dish. Nancy Pelosi's DeFacto police.
Oh yeah.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
And why their due process rights are being so flagrantly and horrifically violated.
Stupid